You're right. Analysis is the base of everything. And that begins with understanding and having the mindset that it is the analysis that you do over the data that you have available to you. So in the case of a lighthouse result, you hopefully your site has enough traffic so it's registered in Google's CRUX reports, because Crux reports has real user RUM. I forget what the M stands for. Um, but RUM measurement of your traffic is real. That means that's what the people who visited your site actually experience. It'll tell you which is the slower part, and you'll have ways to figure out how to make that part faster. There's plenty of documentation available for you to dive into that. So here's the thing, right? So I can make a long list of things that you what type of analysis you should do, but the very base of it is you are willing to dive in, you take the time and you learn more about the topic that you are discovering this is hindering me. So Crux is an example. Server logs, slow queries, access logs, all of these things tell you something of what's going on. I'll give you an example that's fairly easy to debug. Let's say you have a WooCommerce site. Let's say you've done a lot of optimizing. You know you have a lean and mean theme. You know you're taking care of the whole build process, remembering I'm building for performance, for scalability, remembering that when somebody is logged into their store, no, even sooner, as soon as they add something in their cart, the rest of their journey on your site is no longer cached, which means my raw metal needs to be fast. I need to have a high performant server. All of that is taken care of, and yet you have a slow WooCommerce site. So what's going on? One of the things I find quite often is on every single page load, there's a plugin that does something behind the scenes that it shouldn't do on every single page load. A good example is a license check. So if you have a premium solution and the license check for that particular premium plugin isn't cached for the day, the week, whatever, then you have every single page load go off to a server offsite that has absolutely nothing to do with the experience you're having as a visitor on that e-commerce site. And yet you are slowed down because that lookup not only is happening so often, so frequently, that server is also having a hard time. Maybe they are cached on their end, maybe they're not. But that whole journey just adds 1 or 2 seconds to every single page load. Now, if you know that that's a thing that can happen, it is no longer rocket science that if you discover that a plugin does that or doesn't handle this properly, you have a slow site, because that's just the nature of the thing. If your page load includes something that needs to be loaded offsite that doesn't directly impact you but is there, then that's going to have a negative impact. So the simple solution for this is understanding that you have a transients API inside of WordPress, which means anything you request from the server, from the database, from external, whatever, can be stored inside your database. And hell, you can even make it a flat file if you prefer, for whatever reason, if you don't want to bother the database. But you can store whatever you retrieved for a predetermined period. Uh, and then instead of doing that lookup for the license, just that's done once. And then if you're using object caching, which I hope you are, then it's a no brainer. That license check lives in object cache and is only retrieved once per day, freed up once per day, and then queried again. So that's the next 24 hours. That lookup is no longer a problem. So thinking in those terms is a mindset and is an understanding of how things work. And for that, you need to have the understanding to look at your logs, to look at the network tab on your inspector. Most people just kind of look at what they can change in CSS, and maybe if they're told, look at console for bugs and errors. But that's, it's not even half the story. There's just so much more information there. So one of the ideas I'm playing with, and I've kind of decided already is that I also want to do a course built around how to actually use that DevTools, Chrome Inspector, however you want to call it, because there's so much information in that thing alone, and that's not even taking care of the log information that you have. But those are two examples of how you have problems that some of them are documented, some of them are just realizing what it is that's actually happening. And from there, you start building your knowledge. But it's this type of knowledge is quite known for agencies that are doing enterprise, big business type of sites, because the first thing they're going to see if they don't is that their site goes down as soon as they switch it to production, right? So as soon as traffic starts hitting, we're very fast to learn that this was not the most performant solution. Within 5 minutes, you'll have signals. Within the hour, you will know for sure. So agencies that are very much accustomed to this, they know this. They have internal knowledge. They have somebody, you write the code, somebody else checks it, all those things. If you're not in that position, or if you have a small team, it means you need to rely on external information for the most part. And I'm jumping in this gap because I see it, and I've seen it for over a decade now. The information being shared by people who actually understand what they're doing is just scarce. It's not, for some reason, it's never been given a high priority.